So today we're going to be going over something quite a bit different. You know, when you're a beginner, when you're first learning to paint, and you're learning to paint a mountain, typically it's first done with a palette knife. At least for me, I learned how to paint mountains using a palette knife, and it's a great place to start if you've never done any paintings at all. But there's always one thing, and it's something that I did back in the beginning, you know, when I was learning to paint. But it seems like everybody, well, how do I say that correctly? Everybody never takes this into account. You know what I mean. The point is people skip it and they don't even notice it. I don't think I've heard anybody talk about this before. What is this big thing about mountains? Let me show you. Let's get over to the easel. There we go. I've got the top of the canvas here coated with clear gel and white. The bottom is dry. Now I'm going to take some white and some blue. I'm going to paint in a very basic sky. You know, I don't really even know how much of this I want to show you, but I want to get you to the mountain because I'm going to show you with the mountain something different. And we're doing a very old-fashioned kind of beginner style mountain. Let's see if I can remember how to do it. Yeah. Hey, you know what? Now is as good a time as any to say thank you to the Patreons. If you're not a Patreon member, definitely go check it out because we're having all kinds of fun with live streams as well as those crazy full-length videos, which are way too long, but people seem to like them. There you go. If you're curious, I mean, it's the full YouTube version, like crazy detail, 5 hours, that kind of thing. There we go. Darker at the top, lighter at the bottom. Now using a palette knife, I've got a kind of a purpley gray mixed up right there. And I'm going to use a palette knife because that's the way a beginner would learn to scrape in a mountain shape. Now, actually, I've got full-length lessons that I made probably 10 years ago, showing you how to do exactly the same thing. But in those lessons, I didn't know how to do exactly what I'm going to show you right now. So here we go. I'm just going to paint in an average sized regular mountain, you know, nothing crazy. Y'all know how to do this. This isn't really the point. I'm the one that has to try to remember this. Yeah. Hey, let's take a look at the paintings that you guys did of our last one. It's always fun to see what you're up to. Share using the information on the screen if you're not doing it already, because it would be really fun to see what you're up to. Okay, I'm going to scrape off the paint and I'm going to take a brush. I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference what it is, filbert brush or something, and blend and get rid of some of that extra sloppy paint that is now so badly caked up on there. Cool. I think we should be good. You can also take a clean, bigger brush and just create some misty bits on the bottom. If I remember right, that's kind of normal. Boy, it lightens up a lot, doesn't it? All right, this is where things take a little departure from normal. Blue shop towels, and I'll just fold it up here. That'll work. Now I'm going to come up here and wipe away. I'm going to wipe away as much of this paint as I can. Now it's worth noting here that I am not using a Sunbelt canvas. And so you'll see that it wipes away a little more than normal. I like Sunbelt. If you're in the United States, you can easily get them by going on their website. But I'm not using one today because I don't have one in this size and I didn't want, you know, I can't film vertical with an 18 by 24. Just not, the easel doesn't work for it at all. But this is probably better because I'm showing you worst case scenario. Because see how I can essentially go back to white canvas because it's a cheap art store canvas. If that was a Sunbelt, it wouldn't happen that way. But nevertheless, you paint on what you got and you don't complain, right? Now, I think I want a little more pigment here, just more a darker version of the same color, but I'm like stretching my pigment too far, if you know what I mean. But I don't really want much. I don't want like a thicker layer of paint. It just needs to be there. So let me take that now and wipe that in. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, see how I can wipe that in? Okay. You know, I think the pulling it with the brush was not necessary at all. I think if you skip that step and just went straight into what I'm doing right here, you'd be better off. Just use the shop towel to create your mist. Makes a better mist. Anyways, look at that. That's pretty. See, I've gotten almost all the paint off. There's virtually nothing up there. Virtually nothing up there. Cool. Now you see I've got some titanium white here. I put just a little red in it. Now we're gonna get to the good part here. This is the part where it's totally different. And this is the part where, in my opinion, things go wrong most of the time. You see, this is actually, I can tell you what the tip is. I've been kind of holding out on you. The tip is we have to work with texture in order to create realism in the painting. What do you mean texture? Well, if I put thick texture up on this mountain, and it's all thick and heavy, and then on top of that, I put a tree with a fan brush, and that tree is flat in texture. There's no texture to it. So in other words, the white of the mountain is sticking out further, and the tree is recessed physically, on the paint, with the paint, physically recessed. And that throws it off, in my opinion. It's very subtle, and it won't ruin your painting, but it's just like that last 5% that I wish I would have known. But back then, 10 years ago when I was doing this style of painting, I didn't even know to use the shop towel. So now we've got updated techniques and we can do this sort of thing. I'm going to limit the texture. All right, now let's just cut off a little bit of paint. I want like the tiniest little amount. I don't want much. I want very little because again, I'm going for no texture, very little texture. You're not going to have no texture, but you could get very little. That's what I want. All right here we go. Light's coming in from this side. It doesn't really make any difference. And I'm going to set my knife just outside of the shadow. And I'm going to, of course, you get a big edge. Okay, so right there, it almost released. I almost lost all that paint. What do I need to do? Well, that means I need to, let me restart that roll. A little better roll. There we go. It means I need to start more up. I may end up blocking you. Hope not. Try to hold my knife to where I don't block you. But if you go like this, you'll be good. If you go like this, it won't work. Start like that. But look, because I've got no paint here, like this is, look, can't mess it up, right? Very little. And that's on a bad canvas. On a good canvas, that would be 100% locked in. But look, I can do this without texture. Like without, I'm actually, look at this, I'm pressing down. I'm actually pressing with the knife and not creating that icing the cake effect. This is nice. This is good for beginners. See this? Look at this. I'm actually pushing down fairly hard. Boom. Nice. Of course, you have the lines in there, but you break those up by coming back. And I can't believe I'm doing this. This is 2023 and I'm painting a mountain like this. What's going on? This is very weird. Don't tell anybody. Okay. Check this out. I'm mostly going for the texture. Like I don't want texture, but I can get up here and look how forgiving this is because I've limited the amount of paint. It is tremendous in my opinion. What an effect, what a difference this makes by not having a thick, sloppy, wet underpainting. But by having a reasonable and mostly dry underpainting, it is so much easier. So much easier, in my opinion. Let's get up here and do something. I don't like how, this just goes with the territory. I just don't like how you have larger peaks. I guess you get in there with the little edge of the knife, but I'm not going to do that today. This is just a tip video, and I'm talking to you more than I'm painting anyway, so we're not going to do that today. Oh, see there? There, that's normal. Do you see that? See how thick and heavy texture that is? You see with my light, see how that's casting a little shadow there? That's because of how heavy that is. Take that texture away. There we go. See, I wanted that more solid, but no, I don't want that texture. And of course, I've got full-length lessons on everything you could ever want. And I'm going for this classic mountain. I'm not trying to go crazy. I want it to look like this, like what it does, like what you would expect for a beginner mountain. And see, by doing, it doesn't mean I can't have a little fun with it, but by doing it this way with no texture to speak of, I mean, barely any texture, to me it looks more consistent and more natural because when I put my landscape around that, it's going to look the same. It won't be so much thicker, so much more raised out, which would just look silly. Now, I can't do this. I can't do this. I've got to have some sort of lighting. I'm going to gray that down. It's too bright. Not everywhere in the painting. I don't like it when everything in the painting looks like it was taken with a flash photography bulb, you know what I mean? I like it when I can see, even like what you see there happening, because I can just, oh, I'm sculpting that light. Now see, I'm putting it on heavy, so I got to take it off and work it in. I don't want that texture in there. You can always take your shop towel and wipe this away. I'm going to take a little bit of the mountain color and blend that in. I just don't want texture. But see, I've got all kinds of room to work because I've limited the background. If you didn't limit your underpainting, this would have been a mud slick 10 minutes ago. Absolute mud slick. I know, because I've done it. And so I definitely know what that's about. No texture as much as possible. But yet I've got all kinds of texture. You know, it's kind of weird. It's like I got no texture, and I've got all the texture you could ever want. It looks like I've got thick buildup of paint, but I don't. Beautiful, beautiful. That is exactly what, whoa, that's nice. I didn't even need blending. And then right in here, I'm gonna do the same way. See, everything needs just extra color and whatnot. All right, you get the idea. I'm gonna continue working kind of in the same fashion. You see, I'm just little bits by little bits getting this in. I'm gonna kind of skip through some of this because it's very repetitive. There it is, finishing up. Just those last little bits there, so you can actually get a lot of blending in. I don't know that it really needs any blending, but maybe I'll do it anyway. Now, I just want to point out, this is done with 3 colors on my background, with really 2 colors and then a value change. Not normal for me, but I'm going to do it just that way because this is a beginner kind of a mountain, and this is more of a beginner lesson. Or if you're just kind of like me, you're just curious. I was just sitting there thinking, you know, I wonder, you know, that's kind of how this happened. Anyway, let me blend this. So you guys may never do this painting. You know, I don't expect you to necessarily, but I'm just, for those of you that are curious and for those of you that are just starting, which is, there are some here that are just starting and you're still kind of in this style, well, try this out. Because that shop towel trick is something that you're going to use as you grow as an artist anyways. Well, that wraps up this quick lesson. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing it. You know, it's amazing how just removing some of the layers of paint, the underpainting, can make such a big difference and really enhance your painting experience. Don't forget to check out the website, and I'll see you in the next one. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe if you're not already, and click the like button. It helps me out a lot. Stick around, watch a couple more videos, and stay inspired.